with you. I think if we could get that money diverted to the bridge maintenance, that'd be smart, if we could do it. So,
But, you know, one of the things there says that they were insufficient if industrial shipping started in any way to go through the channel, that those were insufficient and that needed to be looked at.
Okay.
And again, it's something that was probably overlooked. You know, they are starting to ship coal into the plant. And I don't know how long that's going. They had a problem, and maybe they're going to cancel that and figure it's just not worth it. But, you know, it's something that, and I don't know if it's well, I don't know who else it would be if it's not the, you know, your commission that would look at that.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. I think it's a good suggestion. So, where do we go?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any further?
Ron, I had a question. And for my understanding, there's a concept called non-destruct inspection, and that's utilized at times in various ways. And there's also other types of inspection in construction situations. One could be an invasive inspection. The example that comes to my mind immediately is when they examined the pillars downtown for the people mover. They used some invasive inspection, and they drilled small holes, and then they immediately repaired them. I don't believe it was totally non-destructive, but it was only invasive. It didn't destroy the integrity of the structures. The tests that you're talking about, and the examinations, do you know if they were all observations and non-destruct inspection, or whether there was some invasive testing done? If you know, and I don't expect that you necessarily know.
I don't recall them boring anything.
Okay. I just wondered. That's the answer.
I thought they did some sonic testing.
Could have.
And again, you know what? I'm missing the other report that I was referring to. That was really a little more extensive. But it was private, and you know, it was a private inspection, and I'll try to find that and include that with
And I don't mean to drag this out.
I'm not sure what
You've answered the question that I have with whatever we know this evening. You've done it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Joe, do you have anything to report tonight? You're here? Okay. With that, we'll move on to the next report, would be the chairman's report. I just want to comment that, as we indicated earlier, this afternoon, several members of the commission assembled, and we did our annual road tour. And along with us was Lonnie Lee, who is the supervisor at the Sibley Road Garage for Wayne County Road Commission. We drove several of the roads that we identified as having failed greatly this spring, and we drove East River Road, West River Road, Meridian, and frankly, as far as those north-south roads are concerned, you can see great deterioration on East River, West River, and if you pay attention to Meridian, you see a lot of cracking, a lot of joints that are in need of repair, and we also traveled several east-west roads, including Manchester, including Church Road, Bellevue, and Horse Mill, and several others. The roads on the island, I would report, there's several conditions that are in real decline. And this is an item that the commission is going to discuss. We feel we have an obligation to continue to discuss it. We produced a report last fall, and on the ballot in November, we requested 1 3/4 mills. It was really to restore an old millage that expired in 2004, so that we could take on several road improvement programs. The voters resoundingly said no to that, and I understand that. It's time, economic times, and so forth. So this is really a bad economy to ask for money. At the same time, our roads are deteriorating, and that's just not Grosse Ile. It's throughout Wayne County, Oakland County, the rest of the state of Michigan. What we're seeing is decline in road funding that MDOT's getting from gas and vehicle weight taxes, and that's being forwarded to all the road commissions for the counties and to cities. and they're all receiving less money than they were a few years ago. Our report indicated that between 2007 and 2008, that Michigan Department of Transportation revenues that they distribute declined over 5% in just those 2 years. And so at any rate, the outlook for road funding is bleak. Costs of gasoline is up, and I'm sure people are going to drive fewer miles, consume fewer gallons, and that's going to translate to less dollars. Nevertheless, we have a minimum amount of what we call essential road repairs that should be made every year to supplement what we can expect from the county. And so what I want to announce tonight is that on our agenda for every meeting of the remainder of this year, we're going to discuss roads and road funding. And any citizens watching that want to partake in that discussion would be welcome to come to our meetings. We meet the second Tuesday of every month at 7:30. And our next meeting date is May 10th at 7:30 in the evening. On our agenda will be an item to discuss road funding. We're going to kick around several ideas, and if anybody in the viewing audience, and we'll probably put a little notice out on this, would like to join us in that discussion, citizens are welcome to come to our meeting to talk about that. We don't have any magical answers, but each year we spend money on dust control. We supplement roadside mowing that the county is able to do. We supplement winter maintenance so that our school bus routes and major roads get priority as far as salting is concerned and plowing during heavy snowfalls. And this was an extremely difficult winter that we went through, and I can say that I know that supplement helped us get through it better than we would have otherwise had we not done the winter priority supplement. And then the other issue that we've been able to do the last few years that we're out of money for is for repairs, to supplement what the county's able to do and what we can expect from the county for crack and joint repairs in the pavement, for filling potholes, and certainly there's not going to be any money for any resurfacing this year. When we met with the county today, I will tell you, for those of you that have high school students, that yet this week we expect that the county will go out and repair some of the holes on Gray's Drive that are developing in the joints on the concrete road leading to the high school, and that's good news. So I just wanted to give you an update, and I would ask if any commissioners would like to comment about this road funding discussion that we had and the tour we took today. Anybody have any additional comments?
I have nothing.
Bill, I had a question on those potholes that are right about in front of Joe Connor's house. So it's like four houses north of Stout, and it's on the west side lane. And it's
East River?
Yeah, East River. And it's between 4 and maybe 10 houses up north of Stout. There were some really bad holes. I wonder if those were patched or they're still the same way they were. And I haven't driven by it in about 2 or 3 weeks, so I don't really know. They were patched?
I believe so.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
They were really bad.
No, I don't know if it was Stout or Island, but there was some, well, I think it was both. The county, Mr. Lonnie Lee said today that they'd been up there through the winter, and both at Island and East River and Stout and East River, and they found the plugged storm drains that were causing a problem with the ice buildup in those intersections, and they did alleviate the plugs, but there's more work to be done yet, and there's some cones still up there. So those intersections are very bad, and we asked them today specifically if he could do some improvements to eliminate some of the rough edges at those two spots. The response from the county was, well, just how far do we go? We said maybe just a 100-foot section, because right at the radius where the radius returns are leading from Stout and Island onto East River, it's very bad there. So hopefully they can do something. But there's a buildup of water at both locations, and we know it. So we did ask specifically if those two things could be addressed. The indication was they're going to look into it, and I felt positive that maybe they could do something there this year. But, okay. Anyway, we had this productive a meeting. I mean, they're doing patching right now. I think that the staff, when our public service staff calls the county, they're getting a fairly good response right now. We know that the county budget's down. There's no ability to do any major improvements, and hopefully we can keep up with the biggest problems that have developed in terms of potholes and so forth. So it's a whole of a mess we're in. Okay, at any rate. No further comments on that? That's basically my report. I'd like to go down the table and see if anybody else has any commissioners' reports. We'll start with Tom Malvesto. Tom?
No, I have nothing to do.
Gordy Miles? Nothing? John?
Bill, nothing further. Thank you.
Frank Kent?
Nothing.
Wally Posiak?
Nothing.
Edwin Haas?
I just want to thank you, Bill, for accepting the chairmanship for another year. Your leadership has been greatly appreciated. I also want to take a moment to thank this entire commission for devoting the time and the effort that it takes. You know, we often complain about commitment or participation in the system, but the reality is we have 100 volunteers, and not just this commission, but every commission, that devote a lot of time and effort. Today was a good example. Most of the people here have been here since 3 o'clock, going through various meetings and study sessions and getting together with Wayne County so that we can give input back to the township board so that we on the township board can make a little better decision. So I just want to take a moment to thank you personally, Bill, and thank this entire commission.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all the members. With that, if there's no further business, something quick, Ron? We're ready to adjourn.
Yeah, well, how are we doing on the water plant?
You can come up to the, I can't hear you. Just take a question.
Yeah, I meant to ask this, and I know you wanted me to sit down. The water plant. Are we still talking about that, or has that been tabled? And I would expect to come to the water commission meeting and at least hear hey, we're still tossing around, or it's kind of stalled.
Well, it's kind of stalled, I guess, in my opinion. This is my opinion, and anybody can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. No, I think what I've concluded is time's really on our side at this point for several reasons, and we don't want to have a long discussion on this. Just my point of view is that we've now put enough data together to know that our contract expires in 2015. I think Trenton's expires in 2019, and Riverview's expires in 2014. We also know that the DWSD, there was a meeting with the managers, I guess, and other people of the three communities, won't let us out of our contracts early, and that they cannot turn the water off if we don't agree to a new contract. Detroit once said to us if we build a water tank, we can get a 30% reduction in our rates, but now they're not saying that anymore because they've had such almost a 30% reduction in their volume of water that they're selling, or it's even greater than that right now. So they're in a state of flux. The economy is pretty terrible right now. Nobody's projecting any growth where we were. And frankly, I think there's other alternatives that we should look at. But to my knowledge, there's been no follow-up meeting with the three community managers, and recently at least. And maybe I'm wrong on that, Ted. Maybe you can add to it. But I just think it's not that we're going to let it go forever, but I think there's other things we should look at. And
well, I just want to say that there's a lot of people out there that are still pretty geeked up about us building a water plant in these economic times, and they're talking about it. And the more they talk about it, the more things get blown out of proportion, or people get heated up, and you don't want people to be any more upset than they kind of are now.
Well,
and that's a good update, and it makes sense.
Well, to me, it's a very big concern if we're going to spend that kind of money to build something like that. We have to have all the answers before we decide to do that. And Ted, you were going to say something? So that's where it's not abandoned. It's out there. It's an important issue, but it's just going to plod along slowly this year, I think.
Okay.
There seemed to be more interest in moving it. We were really gun-ho, had to quickly act, but the more we found out, I think that tempered that.
Okay. Well, that's, I guess, what everybody really wanted to know.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Good question. Thank you. And if nothing, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. The DPS Commission meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.